So, as normal, the first thing that we're going to do is to block in the no-tan. So the no-tan is going to be much darker and more distinct than it will be in the final painting. So I'm going to use that Terra Violet mixture, and I'm going to fairly quickly block that in as we move across the picture plane here. And understand that the edges here are going to be much softer in the final painting than they appear right now. And don't forget, you want to keep this thin. Let's keep it really thin. There. Tree line goes up to about there. So yeah, I'm covering this in spite of there being a house back there that we're going to faintly see. And I'm blocking in the no-tan. That house is not going to show. So that is the basic dark right there. I could go ahead and add a little dark down here at the bottom, kind of as an anchor. Keep the bottom from floating, and realizing that the other color is going to go on top of that and blend in. But it's okay as well if you don't do that. But whatever, keep it thin. And be sure to wipe your knife off really, really well after that. So, as in past block-ins, once you block in that darkest dark, you're going to go to the lighter areas, and in our case that's the sky. This is late afternoon, early evening. It is in the late fall here in South Carolina. Different times of year in different places. The earlier in the fall if you're in the Northeast. One of those days where it was warm during the daytime and cooled off significantly in the evening. As soon as the sun went down, the temperature dropped. So when that happens, you have some interesting atmospheric conditions. As the sun goes down, the air cools off really quickly, but the land is still relatively warm. What happens then is that you get mist that rises. And that mist settles along low spots and travels. So I have knifed a little bit of that blue into the tree line so that some of the blue will show through there. Then I'm going to go ahead and pull some more down here and get right up on the transition line there. And you do not have to get right on top of that line. You can leave a little space in between if that makes it more comfortable for you. Because you can go back, and as you paint, that's going to get covered up. So you could leave it like I did right there, where it comes really close, but not quite on top of it. Just like the violet, this is really thin because I'm going to come back in on it some more and adjust. I haven't put the light blue in yet at all. Then the main color for the land down below is going to be our green ochre and violet mixture. So it is going to be in the area down here. And again, remember, we're going to soften that edge a lot, because one of the things that happens when you've got strong atmospheric conditions is that you get softer edges. So where the mist is going to be fairly soft. Not a hard edge at all. And I can't emphasize enough, as you see here, you want to keep the paint application at this point really thin so that as you put one layer on top of another, they don't totally blend. True whether you're working with a brush or a knife. So I'm letting that blend a little bit with that purple that's already down there at the bottom. It's going to make a darker land color. So I can overlap my edge there a little bit, leave it kind of soft. So that we have a block in right there. Before we go any further, you can stop and check your shapes. So next we're going to develop some of the darker values in that tree line before we start building up the lighter ones. So there is a good deal of the green that actually shows through in here. So we want to take some of that terre and violet, and we're going to allow it to be a little bit thicker now and pull it up straight across that purple into that upper section. And you can see what a contrast it is between the green and the purple. And we're going to pull some more of that up in here as well. Hold the knife really flat, or the brush, works the same with either tool, but hold that tool fairly flat so that when you're pulling, you're not going into the paint that's underneath. And we're not going to pull all the way up into here. This ends up being a lighter area. Don't worry about it if you pick up any of the blue. Pull that all the way down. And as we're down here towards the horizon line, we're going to keep that a little thinner. Over here, just the barest touch. The area down here is going to be really different. So that's our dark green that we've laid in. Now we're going to go back in here and begin to build up that feeling of mist, that soft fuzziness. To do that, we're going to reach up here for some of our gray, our lavender gray. And we're going to lay it in right here. Along this edge, letting it blend just a little bit as we go. over on this far edge, it gets a little bit more purple. Now, here's where some of that magic happens. I'm going to scrape back a little bit. Scraping back is going to leave some of the lighter paint on there. It will also give you more of that effect of rising mist. So here I'm scraping back not because what's underneath is wrong, but because I'm using that scraping as a way to blend the paint that's underneath. So it gives you that feeling of mist that comes and goes and is a little bit ephemeral. Then we're going to pull some of that same lavender down here into our grass section. So that it would begin to soften that edge a little bit more. So don't forget to wipe that knife off thoroughly, many, many times. So now you can see where we're starting to have a soft edge between the land and the tree line beyond. And we want to bring some more of this lavender down and then gradually darken up the foreground there. So in thinking about pulling that down, let some of the pull marks show, and that will begin to imply some grass. And go back to a little bit of that terre verte and purple mix. Pull some of that up in there. This is the terre verte and, not the terre verte, the Italian green ochre and the Egyptian violet. And it's a much lighter, muted lavender than the terre verte and the dioxazine. So just blending that into that foreground area. And letting the marks that we make imply some of those grasses. So over here where I've got a mark I don't want to leave in there. This is what happens when you have a little bit of dried paint in there. You just want to pull it off so it doesn't mark up where you don't intend for it to. You can go back and tweak some of those edges where you need to. You don't want it to be too hard edged. You can also turn that panel and pull some of those marks up, and pulling up will break up that linear quality just a little bit more. Then you can look back at where the mist is going up, and you can dance with that edge a little bit. We've talked about that before. You want to dance with that edge. It's that dance back and forth. You can pull a little bit of the green back down. So we had pulled the lavender up and scraped. Now we're pulling some of the green back down to break that edge up. And if we want to, we can actually then still go back and apply a little bit more of the lavender, just a tiny little bit, to enhance the mist. So you can pull some of it back in. But that part is really thin. So I'm just at the tweaking stage there with the mist. Now I want to include over on this side a little bit of the house, or the implication that there's a structure over here. And this is also where you come out from the edge of the woods and the mist gets heavier right there. So I'm going to go from more transparent color to more opaque, to help that implication along just a little bit. So if I want to go back, I can make it a little bit more opaque in spots. So to create that sense that there is a structure over there, I'm going to use a really close color. It's really close in value, slightly warmer. And I'm going to just give an indication of a structure. And I'll have to switch to the other knife in order to get that roof line in. Go back and forth a little bit. You're not going to see all of the edges on that house because of the mist interfering. So here I have gone back into the sky, added some of the light blue, the medium rather, not the lightest blue that we had mixed, the medium blue in there, and a little bit of it over here, so there's some value variation in the sky itself, although we really haven't put in that much of it. Also went back up here and added a little bit thicker dark blue, since it had been so thin when I first put it on. You can tweak back and forth with those edges where the sky meets the tree, just as we've done in other videos, and until you feel satisfied with the kind of edge that you're making, remembering that this land mass, this tree mass, and this tree mass, these are further away than these right here, so you want to break those edges up a little bit more. Keep in mind, mainly though, when you're thinking about mist, that it is going to be lighter but within the same color family. It's going to contrast transparent and opaque areas, and pay very close attention to those edges. Edges are one of the keys to creating that sense of mist, atmosphere, or rain. So play with transparent to opaque, make the mist or the rain area lighter, and keep those edges soft and not a continuous line. There you have it. Dive in with your own and post it into the Facebook group if you wish. Happy painting, everyone.